Good afternoon, and welcome to Brunch and Budget on Bonfire Radio with your host, Pamela Capelli, a certified financial planner here to help take the bite out of your budget. Brunchandbudget.com. I'm your sound provider, Dialect, and here's your host, Pamela Capelli.
Thank you, Dialect, and thank you, everybody, for tuning in this week. We are doing an accidental part 2 because we ran out of time last week.
I mean, a totally on purpose 2-part series.
We planned this series. Yep,
We
totally.
plan everything we do on our podcast.
Yeah,
Meticulously.
every word, and none of this is improvised. We're reading from scripts right now. See, it says right there, reading from scripts right now.
It's very meta.
No, we started.
We're like the Deadpool of podcasts.
We're the Deadpool of podcasts. Yes, we're breaking all the walls.
So which one of us is Ryan Reynolds play in the movie? I guess you, because you're prettier.
I'll take it. So we were talking about money personalities last week, and we've talked about money personalities before. The very first episode that we ever did for Bonfire, episode number 1, was actually on money personalities, and that was 2 years ago, over 2 years ago now. Whoa, 2.5 years ago. And since then, we have made a lot of changes to how we talk about the money personalities.
Well, and technology. I mean, I'm sure you can't even find a player that will play those 2-year-old podcasts.
Oh, come on. They're on iTunes. Your iPhone 4 will play it if it needs to.
All right.
As will your 7. Okay, so we're talking about money personalities and what we've changed. And the last week, we started going over how your money personality deals with income, how your money personality deals with savings. And I recommend, if you're just listening to this one and you haven't listened to the last one, go back and do it. We'll do a quick review of what they are, but then we're just going to dive in. Before we do that, though, we're going to do a little investment appetizer. Ooh, this segment doesn't get a song. We just say it. It's pretty.
We can make a song.
Okay, let's make a song, but not right now. So we're going to be talking about employee stock options. And this comes up a lot, especially with clients I have who work for big companies or who work with companies that want to give their employees some kind of compensation that also gives them a little more skin in the game in the company.
Well, that's that 80s Wall Street stuff. Stock options.
Stock options.
Right?
That is when they got popular. It's true.
Yeah, like whenever you're seeing a movie about, like, it's like an action movie, but it's in an office. It's like a, office action movie. That's like the thing is you're
The
fighting for
options.
stock options.
Will somebody think of the options?
Because, like, the whole thing about I know a little bit about options, because the whole thing is it seems like it's going to be, like, huge potential for money, especially if the company blows up.
Right. Well, and that's the premise of stock options is, hey, so you're getting in on some kind of ground floor here, right? And you are going to be a collective contributor to the company, and if everyone collectively does their share, then the company will grow, and the value of the stock will grow, and the value of your options will grow. Now let's take a step back, and I'll tell you how options actually work. So the way that it works is, let's say that you start working for the company ABC or something. Not ABC like Disney, but Disney. We'll go with Disney. So Disney gives you stock options as part of your compensation. So you get a salary, you get benefits, you get 401k, whatever they give you. And they also say, hey, to, give you a little bit more, we want to give you these stock options. And so what that means is you get what they call a tranche of stock. And let's say Disney stock is worth $100. And they give you the option to buy Disney stock at $80 a year from now. So that means that you already your options are what they call in the money right off the bat. So if you were able to buy that option today, you would make $20 profit on every share that you got. And so the value of the options is $20 times the number of shares, because you do have to buy the option for $80, but it's worth $100. And so a year from now, they say, okay, now you're allowed to buy the option. So the hope is that you still have the option, that's why it's called options, but you still have the ability, the option to buy the stock at $80, but Disney's had a great year, ABC has all these new shows, whatever, and the actual stock is now, a year from now, worth $120. And so now your options are worth $40 a share. And now you have the option to buy it at $80. and then you can hold the stock itself and just let it grow. So you basically got a discount, and then over the year, that discount became more valuable. So that's how options work. Now,
little disclaimer, we have no idea about the particulars of how Disney runs its
We don't.
business, and all numbers were completely made up for analogous purposes.
yes, thank you. Yeah, Disney was just an example because I said ABC, and I just went there.
We just don't need to get the bonfire lawyers involved.
We don't. No, they're waiting in the corner anytime, but not today. So
I want y'all to picture that, by the way, whenever we're doing a show, that our lawyers are just sitting there in the corner waiting for us to mess up.
Yes, it's happening actually. So let's say though the risk with the option is of course that the value of the stock could go below what you have to pay for the option. And so if a year from now something goes terribly wrong and Disney stock is actually worth $70 and you have the option to buy it at $80, well, you'd never do that, right?
Right.
In real life, like, why would you pay for it at $80 when you could buy it at $70 just on the stock market exchange?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Right.
So what that means, though, is that compensation that you were given when you got hired and when they said, here, we're giving you $20,000 worth of stock options, could be worth nothing. And so that's the risk with stock options in general. That's how employee stock options work. There are other nuances in terms of how they're taxed, how long you need to hold them, and all of that kind of stuff. But we won't go into that because that is beyond an appetizer.
Well, a quick question about that. Is this generally... Can you even put, like, generally a big risk or not a big risk?
No.
On it? It just
Not
depends company
particularly.
to company?
It honestly just depends on how well the company ends up doing compared to what your option is to buy the stock.
So it's not entirely a crapshoot, but it's something you should base on your faith in the company and its propensity to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one of the things to also think about with options is once you have the option to buy them and the options are in the money, after you've cleared all the tax situations and you figure that out, then the real question for you is you work at the company, you have more options at the company, and now you have stock that you've purchased from the company. It's really not, you've really under-diversified.
Under-diversified.
Well, yes, I don't know if that's actually a term, but basically...
Oh, see, I that was a new one for me, so I thought that we had gotten some new... This is the way, some finance speak that we didn't know about.
Oh, no, I just made that up.
Oh.
Maybe it'll catch on. Who knows?
New slang.
New slang. New finance slang. Under-diversified. Well,
Man, actually, that slang could fit into a lot of things.
Lots of
Maybe
things
it
can
should
be
be
under-diversified. You're
I
right.
guess it could be shorter if it was slang.
You come up with that part.
Right.
So the thing is, if you're working at the company, that means your income is tied to the company and you still have options at the company that you haven't exercised yet. It may be worthwhile to think about the stock that you have purchased to actually sell the stock and diversify the investment itself because you still have a lot of other hands in the pot with that company that you're working at.
Oh, yeah, that's a really interesting thing to think about. Just
Yes.
because you've got it doesn't mean that you're in there for the long haul.
Just look at Lehman Brothers.
It's your stock. You can do what you want with it.
Exactly. Once you buy it, you own it, and you can do what you want with it. And, I mean, I know Lehman Brothers employees were encouraged to keep as much of their stock in the company.
I know I've read newspaper stories, how...
Enron.
Well, just I've read stories about, you'll see so-and-so CEO or so-and-so big name face in a company is selling so many shares of their stock. And then people are speculating that it's because they're losing faith in the company.
Yes.
And a lot of times it's not. It's just like it's a smart money decision.
Well, that is the tricky part when you are on an executive team at a big company like that and your finances are public record, is that a lot of CEOs and CFOs and C-suite level people are encouraged to keep as much of their stock because then it makes headlines if they sell it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, because when you look at it, they're really just doing it for the math, but everybody freaks out.
Yep. And we have had to advise clients that we know it's a risk to keep it there, but we understand that to keep your position in the company, you might have to take that risk. So if you are at that level, then you might have to not diversify those
Hold
stocks.
it for show.
Hold it for show. Well, right? Because then if the top level people are selling out of the company, what does that say, right?
Right. I mean, even though what you just said was it's not a big
I know,
deal.
logically and economically, it's just an investment strategy. But for the morality and the psychology of the company, you know.
All right.
All right.
Well, no, that's the crazy thing then. So then that means if you do see that person selling those shares because you know that they know that you know, then it probably does mean something bad's happening.
Then it may be a forewarning, or maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Who knows? At that point.
And that's your investment advertiser.
And now, speaking of psychology, let's continue onward with the money personalities conversation. So, just to quick recap of which ones they are.
It's a matrix, so you're somewhere
It's
in
a
there.
matrix. If you want to follow along, brunchandbudget.com/personality, you can take the money personality quiz and see where you fit on the matrix. The 4 money personalities, they used to be 6. We took away spender and saver. We went over why in the last show. The 4 money personalities that remain are worrier and avoider, amasser, and money monk.
You
And
say the 4 that remain like this is the Hunger Games.
it's totally the money. There's only one personality that will remain. No, that's not true. There's multiple personalities. But, Hunger Games. That's a good movie.
There's a lot to unpack in that last sentence.
So, the money personalities, the worrier. We talked about the worrier. I'm a worrier. I am someone who constantly thinks about money and it stresses me out. And the way that I react to it is that I constantly have to look. I constantly have to know that my payments have been made, my bills have been paid, that I don't have debt, that my bank accounts are safe, and that there's a reasonable amount of money in there that makes me feel comfortable. It doesn't matter what it is. It might never be there. And so a worrier is someone who's constantly worrying about the money. And because of that, they're overreacting to like every financial decision that happens.
And on the other side of the worrier is the avoider.
The avoider, it also is constantly stressed out about money and probably also constantly thinking about it, but their reaction is
non-reaction. The avoider wants to do as little as possible in regards to dealing with their money and will avoid opening envelopes, will avoid paying bills until the last minute, will simply avoid dealing with money unless they feel completely secure about what they've got. Which
yes.
is never.
Which is never. And the way that I described it last time is the worrier is someone who thinks everything is a priority, and the avoider waits for someone to tell them that it's a priority, usually by a door knocking or a red envelope or a phone call from collections.
Yeah.
Yep. And then on the other side of the matrix, we have the amasser and the money monk. The amasser is always more focused on what's coming in than what they have or what they're spending their money on. Their mentality is, all I need to do is make more money, and then all my money problems will be solved, right? And so it's not the stress of the day-to-day or the bills that really gets them. It's kind of it's a different kind of stress of wondering when the next check is going to come, wondering when the next source of income is going to come. And even before they've spent this next source of income, they may have already mentally spent the next piece of income that's coming in. So that's the amasser.
Yeah, and the money monk is more focused on the next gig, the next job, the next thing they do. They're much more concerned with people than the specifics of money and don't like dealing with money or the numbers involved.
They just don't want it to be an important part of their life. They're like, I get that I need it to eat, but whatever, I'll figure it out. So
that's basically it. They'll figure it out.
Yes, they'll figure it out. So those are the 4 money personalities in a nutshell. And I want to jump into... Wait, should we go to a song, actually? We should go to a song.
Let's go to a song.
And then I want to really dig into spending as your money personality.
Yeah, so what we're talking about with the money personalities in the last show and this show are using your money personalities in regards to spending, saving, investing, basically all the stuff that you're doing with your money. So we're going to go to a song here. I got this cat, Seth Patrick, with his tendency, because we're talking about tendencies, tendency to land. Check you in a minute. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio.
Sophistication. Class. Yeah.
And most of all,
Quality.
roll
around the edges, the outlook's outrageous. Spitting cartridge, got mouth full of pages. Forehead covers the front base, my latest. Brain nerve damage, but made me mutation. But that's alright, I excel. Tendency to land on my feet, so oh well. Life is just a lesson, accepting what's felt. So what if it is reached by a method of pure hell? I hope you don't reminisce your pieces. Ponder whether or not could jumpstart genius. Erased identity for a loss of control. You could surely see where disaster might go. I dust off past, I'm not perfect. Minutes move fast when you're wasted with purpose. Faces to the front of what a daybreak brings. You could really make a name of catnap dream. Outside with the kids, flying pressure with the kicks. I'll slide with the grip, mic measuring the spit. I'm high, herbal twist, herbivore, blowing myth. 34, never this, with a verbal emphasis. Outside with the kids, flying pressure with the kicks. I'll slide with the grip, mic measuring the spit. I'm high, herbal twist, herbivore, blowing myth. 34, never this, with a verbal emphasis. Light steps, one right after the next. I ran out of breath playing catch up with death. Trying to be a poet, they don't pardon embellishments. Get polished off by poison refreshments. I could cut the bottom of my essence with doubt. Spill it on the wind, it's a trick from my mouth. Filling in the pieces, let it move through the crowd. Ill is when it travels and it comes back around. Gotta be a spot for the laid back. Next door grown kids strutting with a backpack. Alive, I'm just a head bobbing with the vibe. Hip hop frame me in the right state of mind. Clutch as I pull on top the radio. Knobs and stations, fake representations. A false sense of security and weak ability. Prove I bring facility fresher and metaphysically. I'm the best director, set around a settlement. I settle bets with venomous adrenaline percentages. I break and build a cannonball, can appeal a cannonball, can of aerosol, salts an empty wall with fan applause. Separate the brain from the body. Jump rope with veins from the jugular. Drop hungry zombies. Make a mannequin flinch when I fury a fit. It kicks a flurry of phantom fists. Fracture bone tissue to bits. Outside with the kids, fly pressure with the kicks. I'll slide with the grip, mic measuring the spit. I'm high, herbal twist, herbivore, blowing myth. Herbivore, never this, with a verbal emphasis. Outside with the kids, fly pressure with the kicks. I'll slide with the grip, mic measuring the spit. I'm high, herbal twist, herbivore, blowing myth. Herbivore, never this, with a verbal emphasis.
Welcome back, Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. That was Seth Patrick out of Detroit, Michigan with Tendency to Land. And we're talking about our tendencies, our money personalities, and how those money personalities affect us. Pam was saying before that early on we started off talking about what money personalities are and how they affect you and what you do. Now we're putting them in specific situations. Let's talk about them.
Let's throw them in the Hunger Games or whatever these are.
The spender games?
Spender games. Oh, God. I feel like some people would be so pumped about that. You mean I just get to spend money?
Well, pretty people shoot arrows at you.
Well, then there's the excitement part for the viewers.
There you go. Extreme shopping.
Yeah, fuck extreme
Hey,
couponing.
That
right?
would be if you mix supermarket sweep with skeet shooting.
Whoa, let's do it. That's what we're doing today. So let's talk about the money personalities on a budget or the money personalities as spenders. And I mean, we talked about the money personalities as savers last time. And I think the two go hand in hand. So I feel like that what people tend to think of themselves at is either I'm a saver or I'm a spender. It's partly why we took those two money personalities out, because everyone spends and everyone saves to a certain degree, and the connotation of each of those words is it just confused everything. And so
and it's generally not as useful in terms of determining what your tendencies are.
Yeah.
Because being a saver and spender tend to be fluid situations.
Yes.
And even if they are reactions to stuff that you normally do, then it's still not as useful as information. It's not as detailed as information as what we're trying to do with the master, the warrior,
right,
the avoider, the money monk.
Right. So let's just start from the warrior as a spender. So the warrior as a spender is usually someone who, obviously warriors spend money. And I feel like, I don't want to out my mom, but she's a perfect example of a warrior who spends money, and she never spends a lot of money. But she spends money on things that are on sale that she might need one day. So she has 3 sets of dishes, full sets of dishes just around. And usually warriors are people who tend to spend and keep what they buy. They end up being a little hoardery in terms of the stuff too. But warriors are people who will buy stuff on sale, who will buy stuff because they think they might need it one day and it happens to be at a good price. And warriors are also people who know exactly how much they paid for everything. They will know down to the dollar exactly how much they paid. Like, I could tell you right now how much I paid for the sweater that I'm wearing, $78. Except I got 25% off for buying another thing, so the sweater actually ended up being free. See what I mean? So those are warriors. So every little dollar.
You remember that it was $78 even though you got it for free.
I do. Like, it would have cost me $78, but I finagled it, so it didn't.
That just would have been a story about how I got a nice sweater for free.
Right, exactly. But I'm saying, warriors know exactly how much they saved on a thing and how much the original price was and all of that kind of stuff. So it's not like warriors are savers, or we tend to save because we're worried, but we also tend to spend and just keep all of those details in our heads for no reason. I don't need to know how much the sweater costs. I'm wearing it.
Is that why you got mad when you bought that drum?
Oh, the drum.
We might have actually told this story before.
I think we did.
But Pam bought a drum for $25.
In Cambodia.
And then she saw somebody else selling the same drum for $5, and she got so mad. And my thing was, yo, that drum was worth $25 to you, so good.
You're such a money monk. I didn't get the best deal.
Right. That's the thing. Getting the best deal possible is actually more important than the actual $20 that you saved, right?
Yes.
When we talk about money personalities and how they affect our tendencies and what we do, it's not just about our bottom line. It's about all the stuff we're doing.
Yes.
It's about how this affects our stress levels. It's about our daily life.
Absolutely. And so as a warrior, one of the things that I've kind of tried to let go of, even though I keep all these numbers in my head, is to only buy things as I need them and to not be tempted by getting something because it's on sale. Because then I feel like I'm going to be missing out. And that's the thing with warriors, I feel like, is like FOMO. In terms of missing out on a sale. It's like, oh, there's a sale happening. I should just buy it now. I kind of need it, or I might one day. So that's the warrior as a spender. And then we have the avoider as a spender. And the avoider as a spender, I think the avoider as a spender is someone who really just spends. Who spends based on whim, who spends based on feelings at the time, who spends based on emotion. And not that we don't all spend based on emotion, but because it feels so chaotic, avoiders are kind of just like cross your finger spenders. Will the card go through? Will I be overdrafted?
Well, and what I want to ask is, an avoider, do they seem like in their purchasing decisions, and I guess a lot of their new experience decisions, they're going with their gut?
Yes.
They're down to their last $150 in the bank, and there is this $100 experience or thing that it just showed up in their lap, and it feels right now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, because it's that impulse situation, because it feels futile to plan for the long term. So that $100 is going to go somewhere anyway. Why not have it go towards this thing that you want right now?
There you go.
Yep. So that's the avoider as a spender. And I think, obviously there are pitfalls there. And I think that especially with avoiders, the most important thing is to just always at least have an awareness of where the money is going, because then it feels less chaotic. If you take away some of the chaos, and you can do this with apps like Digit, for instance, or just like something that will send you an alert. Like Digit will send you a text message with your bank account balance every single day if you wanted to. Maybe you switch it to every week to make you feel less anxious about it, whatever it is. But find a way to just become a little bit more aware of where your money is going and take away a little bit of the chaos. And you might find yourself making different spending decisions because of it. Because you're spending based on impulse right now as an avoider. And you're spending based on, well, it might not be there tomorrow, so I should just do it now.
This should be your infomercial slogan. Take away the chaos.
Take it away. I want you to do that, though. You could be the spokesperson.
No, I want you screaming loud into the
Chaos! Just
Yes,
like that?
yes.
Okay. All right.
Shaking your fist just like that.
Yes, for all the people who needed visuals. So with the avoider, that is the most important thing, is take away the chaos, take away some of the give yourself more awareness, take away the lack of awareness. Because the thing is, the reason why you feel like it could be gone tomorrow is because you're not sure what's coming in, what's coming out, and when all of those things are happening. And so that is why it's important for the avoider to do that. Now we have the amasser as a spender. And the amasser as a spender also spends impulsively and spends on emotion, but they do it with confidence. You know, they're not like, oh shit, I just need to do this now or it might never happen. They're like, I feel like it, so I'm going to do it and I'm just going to make more money tomorrow. And so the amasser is also a bit of a willy-nilly spender and also spends based on gut and feeling like, you know, I want this, so I'm just going to have it. And it doesn't really come from much more than that often. It's just like this feeling of like, yeah, I want it, and I want it now.
Well, to explore the spending based on gut, what do you think is the difference in motivation or difference in direction between the gut feeling of an avoider and a amasser?
I think that the main difference is the avoider is spending because they have this fear of loss. Like, I need to spend it now or it's going to be gone. And with the amasser, they're like, I'm just going to make more money. More money's going to be coming in, so they're more casual about it. It feels less like a missing out on an opportunity and more like a just I want it and I can have it because I have the money and I know more money is going to be coming in. There's that, maybe it's bravado, but there's like a level of a confidence, possibly bordering on arrogance, that they'll be able to afford no matter what they want.
Well, it's a logic equation, even if it doesn't necessarily work out.
Yes, exactly. And whether or not you're juggling income or you're juggling credit card debt, amassers think in the terms of like, I'll just figure it out from here. And avoiders think in terms of, oh my God, I have no way of figuring this out, so let me just do it. So yeah, I think that's the main difference with those two. And so with amassers, again, it's a dangerous game to play on the other end of also not having an awareness and being a little too casual about it and being a little too like, well, it's going to work out. I'm just going to make more money. I'm just going to get an extra gig. I'm just going to get another paycheck, whatever it is. And so with amassers and spending, it's more a matter of pausing, thinking about why you want the thing that you're about to buy, and then making a decision from there. It can still feel impulsive. You don't have to take a day or, 48 hours, like whatever bullshit advice they like to give. Like, think about it for a day, and then if you still want it, then go get it. It's like, people don't really do that, right?
That's not true. That's exactly what I do.
You really do that?
I always do that. It's
I feel like amassers don't do that.
Oh well, I'm not an amasser, right? But you said people don't.
Oh, my bad. Yes, I misspoke. I was a little too.
I guess amassers may not do that, but
amassers probably
that's
don't do
definitely.
that.
I don't know if that's a money monk thing or if that's me personally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, part of it comes from remembering when I could only afford to window shop anything.
Oh wow, yeah.
But so I know and understand the satisfaction that comes from. This would be nice to have. Oh, that was great. And then putting that thought away. So,
Wow.
I can get a little satisfaction just from that. But
I don't think amassers can.
I will go to a place and pick out a thing. And unless it's entirely essential or it's perfect or whatever, or I have a sense of urgency about it, I will almost always go home and say I'm going to come back a couple days from now. If it's
this
gone,
just happened to us
then
in
it's
LA.
gone. And if it's there, then I'll go get it.
Yes, this just happened to us in LA. I remember that.
Right? Yeah, and I definitely wanted it.
You definitely wanted it, and I could tell you wanted it at the time, and I knew we were going to go back, but you were like, no, let's just go.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm going to come back. There's a chance to come back, so I had to come back and decide if I wanted it.
Yes, yeah, but you definitely wanted it at the time.
Right. But, I mean, the thing of that is, while I'm a money monk, I do have a little bit of preparation, and I know that oftentimes necessities arise. And you got to be prepared for that.
Yes, you are very much a figure it out on the opposite end.
Right.
Where you're like, as long as my needs are taken care of, everything else is gravy, right?
Exactly. And sometimes with spending stuff, I consider that the gravy.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather have a lot of times. I know this doesn't sound like a money monk type of thing, but I would rather a lot of times have the money sitting there. If it's like a sweater and I need new sweaters, I'd rather have the money sitting there for when the right sweater comes along than to just settle for the sweater that's here.
Right.
Because I'm fine. I can wear a bunch of shirts.
Oh my gosh. Well, and it's so funny because when I, as a worrier, I was joking about not getting a winter coat and saying, can I just wear all of my sweaters at once? But in my head, I was like, of course I'm getting a winter coat. It's going to be cold and I'm going to need a winter coat. I'm going to find the winter coat on sale. But as a worrier, I was like, I'm going to need a fucking winter coat. And you're like, can I just wear all the sweaters? And I've seen you wear all the sweaters.
Yeah, I mean, why would I buy these clothes if I didn't want to wear them?
All at once.
That's efficiency.
Yes, your money monks are very efficient, I suppose. Yeah, so I guess money monks are the opposite side of the coin in that respect as well, where an amasser is, I want it now, and you might have to slow yourself down, and maybe you do as an amasser have to give yourself a day for certain purchases that are over a certain amount. And maybe you do that already because you've given yourself that rule because you know what your tendency is, and that's one way to really curb that. But maybe at the same time, you need to set your limits lower because those $50 purchases and those $25 purchases can also really add up as an amasser. And it can feel like not a lot of money because, hey, more money's going to be coming in, right? It's not going to make a big difference in my account.
Well, I figure the first step is, though, setting the habit, right?
Yes,
So
definitely.
even if they are bad and things are still going wrong, I think you should take heart in the fact that you do have that.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think once it is the fact that once you hit the point where you realize, oh, I'm not hitting my limit ever, then lower the limit.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think, too, just the taking the time to reflect on why you actually want to buy the thing that's in your hand helps in general. It helps for every money personality, honestly, but I think it really helps for the amasser because there is that instinct of, yep, I'm going to buy it because I can.
Well, and again about tendencies, advertisements of everything that exists play to all of the tendencies and all the instincts you have to need and want stuff.
Yeah, for
So-
every money personality.
Yeah, for every money personality and every type, and it's not even about like, oh, advertisements are evil. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
It's how they work. It's the way they communicate. So if you take a moment to stop and sit and think logically, you'll realize the number of the things you don't need.
Yep. It's very true. It's very true. So, let's talk a little bit more about the money monk as a spender. Do you find anything wrong with you as a money monk having the tendency to only spend on necessities?
Something wrong?
Have you missed out on anything?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've certainly missed out on things. But I'm not sure if
Do you not feel regret over it?
slightly, but not to a great degree.
Yeah.
I don't think that I have as much fear of missing out when it comes to purchasing
Mm-hmm.
and spending money on stuff because my focus is always going to be on the things that I did take my time on.
Right.
And
that you have.
Well, the thing of it is it's rarely going to be tied to any specific money amount, whether large or small.
Yeah.
So while, it's not like we don't have fear of missing out of stuff. It's just that money fear of missing out things aren't higher in quality to other things that are missing out. They're not more amazing. My brain can't even really differentiate.
Right. Well, and it sounds like there's just a lack of attachment. You haven't created that attachment in your head that I feel like a lot of other money personalities may have. I know me as a worrier, I create a certain sense of attachment to things because I worry about not being able to get them.
Well, and it also sounds like scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you have a set scenario going on in your head, and the world is not right if that set scenario doesn't happen.
Yeah.
For me, if I don't buy concert tickets to go see the band that I wanted to see, and instead I end up walking in the park, and I see some flute player who does some crazy thing on the flute, 20 years from now, I'm not going to remember missing out on spending money on those concert tickets. I'm
Right.
going to remember the flautist.
Right. You don't talk about what you missed out on, and I do.
Well, no, that's what I'm. But yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's not that we don't talk or think about at all what we miss out on.
Yeah.
It's just that we don't have a set correct life.
Right. Like a
It's-
way that something is supposed to go.
Right. And it's not wrong if we did something else.
Yes, got you. Okay. Yes, spending on your money personality. So, in terms of things like dealing with bills and credit card debt or any debt and taxes, that's the other side of it. And I feel like that every money personality is different. And you probably know think about how you deal with bills and see if you can relate to any of this. So, for the worrier, I mean, pay everything on time. We freak out if something gets missed. That's just how it is. We double pay sometimes on accident because we were like, oh shit, I thought I forgot it, but I didn't. Avoiders, I think that the avoiders who realize that they were avoiders early on have everything on auto pay. The avoiders who I've worked with and who I've spoken to who know they're avoiders and who know that's their tendency, I feel like that is a great direction to go in. The flip side of that, of course, is if you are an extreme avoider and you don't know how much money is in your account on a regular basis, then putting things on auto pay can feel more nerve-wracking than having control over the money coming in and out.
And in case any of this feels confusing, I also know plenty of avoiders who seem like worriers because they understand what their tendencies are, and they do their best to compensate.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of that going on. And then for amassers, you know, they basically, if the money's there, they'll pay the bill. Or the bill will get paid when the money's there.
I like how amassers seem to follow their own set of rules.
Yep. I feel like that's what it is. It's like they'll figure it out. They'll just make more of it, and that'll solve things.
Well, the bill will get paid when there's money for it.
And then money monks and bills. I feel like I mean, we've had these conversations before of you prioritize people over money in general. And so if you owe somebody money, that takes precedent over like owing the electric company money.
Oh, yeah. Faceless stuff, we could care less about faceless stuff, especially if it's a big evil corporation who's got a history of like being bad to people.
Yep.
Then we actually get stuff in our head like, get them folks, they could wait and make money. Like that's a real thought that'll enter a money monk's head.
Oh yeah.
Even if you know that making them wait isn't going to change anything, and also might mean that you have to give them more money.
Yep. It's so true. But you're just like, you know what? Fuck it for now.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially if there's a dispute between I owe somebody $50 and I owe the bill $50, I will pay the person
You'll
first.
pay the person. Yeah. Yep. That sounds right. And I feel like that's how money monks handle their debt. Worriers handle their debt the opposite way if they're deciding between the two, because I feel like, you know, we're more worried about getting in trouble by the big institution.
Right. Well, and on the money thing, like I was saying about me before, I like having it liquid much more than a worrier does.
Yes, definitely. And then on the debt tip for amassers, I feel like amassers think of debt as another stream of income.
That's ill. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's another thing that they're juggling. So I've met amassers who will think of the balance remaining on their debt as like, well, I have that in case I need something else, as along with their income. And so debt feels very fluid to them, and is also this thing that like sometimes there's a lot, sometimes there's a little, based on my needs and wants at the time.
Huh. Man, I don't know if this bears out, but it feels like amassers are more gamblers.
Definitely. I think most amassers I know are more risk takers than the other money personalities, for sure.
Because that just sounds like such a gambling philosophy.
Yeah, a lot of amassers think of all of this as a game.
Yeah.
Sure.
And those are the ones who enjoy looking at your credit score and dealing with all the weird arbitrary rules.
And figuring out all the loopholes around them. That's why they think of debt as another stream, you know? It's like, well, that's what the credit card line is for, right? Yep. And then avoiders and debt, I think avoiders can probably fall into the debt trap the hardest, because debt is something that the idea of having to owe somebody something is so stressful that they just want to put it away. They want to put it away. They want to think about it tomorrow. And from what I've seen with a lot of avoiders, they will just let things go into collections and have to deal with it only when they absolutely have to, when someone is calling them when someone is knocking on their door, when their wages get garnished. That's an extreme example, but that's how I see a lot of avoiders tend to react to debt. Is especially if they don't have the money to handle it, then they'll just wait for as long as they possibly can until someone is telling them this needs to be a priority right now.
Sounds right.
Yep. All right. So let's go to a song while we let all of that digest, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the money personalities.
Yeah, let's play. I'm going to go with the Milk Blossoms from their album Warrior, and they got a song called Walking Back. This is a very interesting band, so check them out, and I'll talk to you in a minute. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio.
Train tracks with the horror lines and played with candle wax, landmines, and oh how quickly I lose my breath, and oh how modest are those who are deafening this commentation, sitting in truth, driving alone, owning nothing but disguises and a phone. And horror houses ain't what they could be, nothing like the ones in my body. Horror houses ain't loud enough for neighbors and scarecrows to call my bluff. In mass decorate the downfall, curious to kill the cat that caught the pinball. And yes, my ego crawls into bed, and yes, my skin is noosed above barricades. This cold plantation sits in thrones, driving alone, owning nothing but disguises and a phone book. And horror houses ain't what they could be, nothing like the ones in my body. Horror houses ain't loud enough for neighbors and scarecrows to call my bluff. I must believe in voices, why else would I be walking back? I must believe in voices, why else would I be walking back? I must believe in voices, why else would I be walking back? I must believe in voices, why else would I be walking back? I must believe in voices, why else would I must believe in voices, why else would I be walking back?
Welcome back, Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. That was the Milk Blossoms with Walking Back. Milk Blossoms out of Denver, Colorado. A lot of dope stuff out of Denver these days.
Yeah, that was a
No
great
pun
song.
intended.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How many
so
personalities that?
well, I mean, it's from their album Warrior, so that should tell you
Oh,
a
nice.
lot about. Well,
Where
I
that
don't.
comes from.
I don't know what that tells you about anything.
It's all good. It's all good. So I want to touch on investing as your money personality, and then talk about how to start adjusting your habits so you can still that are still in line with your money personality, that will make your money personality happy, but also engender change, because there are definitely tendencies that we all have in our money personalities where we think, I wish I was more like that personality. And we're not asking you to change personalities, because that just doesn't happen. I'm going to be a warrior for my whole life. Dialect's going to be a money monk for his whole life. And that's just how it is. You know, it's not a whether you like it or not thing. It's just like recognizing that these this is how you relate to money, and what can we do to change it? What things can we change so that you are still in line with who you are as a person, but all of your actions are serving you and not taking anything away.
Exactly. Our tendencies do not have to be our actions. Don't let them rule us. That's all.
Yes, exactly. So before we do that, let's talk about investing as your money personality. Let's go backwards. Let's start with the avoider and investing. Now, investing in general, and we were talking about this on the last show, just about everyone kind of having that the thing that they avoid in general. And I feel like that avoiders, as much as they avoid all of the other aspects, investing is this thing that doesn't even feel like it's in their purview sometimes or in their universe. They're so focused on getting less chaos to happen out of the basics that investing can feel like a whole other world that they don't even want to touch. And so, I mean, investing doesn't have to mean the stock market. Investing can mean, investing in real estate. It can mean investing in a business. And especially for avoiders who are artists or freelancers or who want to have their own business, a business is something you have to pay attention to. And the stock market and your investments, what's funny about that is it's something that you actually don't have to pay that much attention to.
Yeah, it's funny. When you first said investing habits and it was different from spending habits, I was like, but it's spending, right? I guess that's a very money monk thing to say.
It is, yeah, a little illumination into the way you think about investing. But yeah, with investing, the thing with avoiders is investing is less scary than it actually seems, because you don't actually have to know that much to get started. You just have to know the reason why you want to invest, how long you want to invest for, and how much money you're comfortable putting in every single month or every year, or whatever the amount is or frequency is.
To be fair, that is a lot of stuff.
Yes, definitely. But you also, if the thought of having to learn about investments and the stock market and bonds and how all of that stuff works paralyzes you, you don't need to know too much about it to get started, because there are a lot of things out there. There are a lot of apps out there now. Acorns, Wealthfront, Betterment, Vanguard, Target Date Funds. We've talked about a lot of these in the past. We have, if you go all the way back to our January episode, we talk about investing as part of our 5-week financial plan series. And the thing with investing as an avoider is you can do a lot of set it and forget it stuff and really just figure out, all right, so I don't think I'm going to miss $50 a month. Let me just put it in a Roth IRA, or let me just put it in an IRA, or let me put $50 more to my 401k. Let me start contributing to my 401k and let it do its thing. And then it's the one aspect of your money where when you pick a comfortable amount to figure out, you actually don't have to think too much about it. And that is something that I, as a worrier, have had to come to terms with investing. Because it's probably why I spent 7 years in the financial planning industry. That's something that worriers tend to do, is like, I need to know everything about something before I can make a decision.
Wait,
in
so
general.
so your entire career is just because you were worried?
Because I'm a worrier. Yes, exactly. Because I said, I want to know more about this finance thing. Let me literally devote my entire life and career to it to make sure that I got it all. I've thought about that before, and I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why.
Has it worked out?
I think so. I don't know yet. I've had some fun along the way, but I was someone as a worrier who didn't really feel comfortable with investing until I felt like I knew a lot about it.
Right.
And so that is how, if you're a worrier, that is probably how you're going to feel about investing too. And again, with worriers, I feel like with everybody, you need a little bit of education. You need to understand what stocks and bonds are. Go back and listen to our investment appetizer at the beginning of most of our shows. It'll give you an idea of how all of this works, or some of it works at least, to give you enough working knowledge to say, yes, I want to save for retirement. I want to put my money in an IRA or a 401k. And I understand that stocks are more risky than bonds. And so when I'm younger, I can put more money in stock than bonds. And then as I get older, more of my money will go into bonds than stock. And that's mostly all you need to understand to really get started. And then if you're interested in learning more, then there's lots of ways to do that.
Yeah, that's really helpful because I think regardless of money personality, all of us have a problem with investing in that we think we don't know enough to get started.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Maybe not in a masser.
Well,
Just like a masters think everything is a game, the stock market is the ultimate game.
I think that's one of the things about a master's, though, is the masters do understand that it's not a complicated thing, that it's not a magical thing, and that to be good at it requires more luck than anything.
Right, exactly. And then, I mean, the thing with the masters is I feel like they can take too much risk when it comes to investing. And they get to that point where maybe they're day trading, maybe they're trading currencies, maybe they're doing options trading, and they're getting so involved in the game and they take these risks and they're making and losing big chunks of money at once potentially if they're the type of a master who really gets into investing.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's also masters who say, I'm going to quit my job and throw all my money into my business that I want to start. And so masters are much more risk takers in terms of investing. And masters are also the type of people who will justify many things as an investment. So they're like, I'm buying this thing because it's an investment in myself. Or I'm buying this thing because it's an investment in my business. Sometimes regardless of whether or not that's true.
Yo, that might be an entire other show because money personality, I think all of the money personalities have lies that are, this is an investment in myself.
Oh, yes.
And I think that they're all different.
Absolutely.
This is not something that we can pull out of our behinds right now.
No.
But this
I'm
merits
writing that
discussion
down.
in the future. Is how do we lie to ourselves when we tell ourselves this is an investment in myself, but it sure ain't.
Do we lie to ourselves? I love it. I mean, we've done a show on what it really means to invest in yourself.
Right. But I just
Does
want to
that
know.
need a part two?
Yeah, it probably.
It probably does. And what does that mean to each money personality?
Well, and I'm saying particularly the times when we're saying we're invested in ourselves when we really just aren't.
Right, exactly. When it's like, yeah, I just wanted it.
Yeah.
It was just for me to take care of myself today.
I don't know about y'all. Y'all can holler at me if you think I'm wrong, but I think that would be useful. It'd be useful for me to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll definitely do a show on that because dang. And now we have the Money Monk as an investor. And we did 2 shows on investing with Dummy Lect.
Yes.
Episode
It's
101
not. It's
and
not like a
102.
mean pet name. It's what we called it.
It's what we call the show. And part of the reason why is because you as a money monk didn't like the idea of investing or the stock market in general.
Yes, my position is that it's a bad thing for business. Period. So
To go public.
Right,
And
just-
to
yeah.
be subject to public scrutiny.
Right, it makes businesses do things that aren't the things that businesses were designed to
Right.
do, and
They
makes
live
them
for the quarter.
right. It makes them money machines rather than thing they do machines.
Right, exactly. And so with a money monk, I mean, what did it take for you besides having 2 good episodes to say I think I need to figure out what this investing thing is about?
Well, it's not even like I need to figure out what this investing thing is about. Like I get the game. I guess I feel like I'm a master that way.
No, I think that money. I mean, we talk about a masters and money monks being opposite sides of the same coin, and I feel like a masters get the game and want to play it, and money monks get the game and they're like, "Fuck that! I don't need to be a part of that."
Right, and that's generally my thing. But we did a lot of research, and I was looking at how much I am involved anyway,
Yeah,
to a great degree, and it doesn't benefit me to sit out of one specific part of it when I participate in other parts of it.
mm-hmm.
And if I'm going to participate in the parts that exploit me, because I feel no other recourse, then
Right.
I should participate in the parts that I can exploit as well.
Yep. Ooh, yep. That's a very money monk way to think of it. I like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it gets me to do it, right?
Yep, it's true, and you're in. All right, so that is money personalities on investing. And so now it's a question of how to start adjusting your habits so that you are still in line with your money personality and you don't do anything outside of what you're comfortable with, what your actual values are, because all of these money personalities are based in values that we have, Worriers, we're someone who values security, who values peace of mind, who values stability. Avoiders, honestly, they value the same thing. Avoiders want to know that things are being taken care of, and they just don't know how or where to start.
Well, isn't it about balancing our values with not giving into our fears.
Yes,
Because we want to lead towards what our values are, but our fears will often make us act outside of our values.
Yep. Very, very true. And I think that's the thing to really understand before you start trying to make any changes or start making any habit change is to get a clear idea of why. And the first way to do that is to really figure out what you value about money. Why is money important to you? What will having enough money give you the ability to do, and how will it make you feel to feel like, yes, I have enough, you know? And that's a different answer for everybody. I feel like with amassers, needing to know that it's enough is very important, because for amassers, it feels like it will never be enough because they're constantly in that cycle of, I want this thing, so I'm going to make more money to get this thing. And so figuring out what is enough for you and what that looks like as an amasser is really, really important. And then I think for a money monk, what's really important in terms of your values is, you know, being able to have purpose and, you know, give back to the world in a lot of ways, and make sure that you are someone who is contributing to what's going on and not just taking away from it or taking advantage of it.
Yeah, it's important. Contribute, not take advantage, and to be contributing in a way that's tangible.
Yeah, absolutely. And not that you're like all these money personalities are so fluid too. So you as any money personality might also relate to that. But I feel like that as a core value, that's something that a money monk values above their own creature comforts even.
Right.
And I think that's what makes somebody a money monk, where they will put others in front of themselves to a fault. And so that, I feel like, is something to also be aware of. So when you understand what your values are and why money is important to you, then it's a matter of making change small. We've talked about willpower on the show before, and, you know, how much of a finite resource it is. And the thing with change is, don't do everything at once, and don't try and overhaul yourself. So as you listen to the show, think about some of the qualities that you want to highlight and have more of, because you know, with warriors and avoiders, what will make you feel more safe? What will make you feel more stable and more secure? What is the one thing that you can change today that will give you that feeling, you know? And that's where you start with change. And so as we close out, I think the most important thing is understanding that change needs to be small, that it will take time, and that it won't be easy. That's the reality of it, because you are trying to go against what you're doing right now. Is you're trying to go against what Dialect was saying of quelling a fear versus actually empowering yourself to change so that you can actually, you know, have your values come to reality. And so I think that's it.
All right.
We're good.
Check you next week.
Money personalities.
We'll leave you off with Chucks out of London with his song Worried. And we'll check you next week. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. Peace.
Yo, some digi-pastors out there, you feel me? Tryna bump, man. Tryna take man's pee when I'm in church, you feel me? Ain't feeling that, you get me? Let me just show you, man, what I'm saying, you get me? Watch it. Yo, beware those wolves in sheep's clothing, angels in disguise claiming that they know him. They play fast and loose with the truth. If they're really anointed, let them show you the proof. Don't put your trust in them when they lie and sin. Some of these preachers are roadmen trying to tip. Budding entrepreneurs trying to make money amongst us. Preaching false hope to punters, it's a roll of the dice. In the church, which means the body of Christ. And people gamble with their souls and their life. Blood is deep, and I ain't out of my depth. I hope this has an effect on born again Christians who are fresh. So don't be gullible and ignorant. Yeah, I know you're innocent, so don't take advantage of you in a quick minute. Pentecostal evangelism is big business. For that regular tithe, man, I move different. Don't fall for it, don't take their word for it. I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried. This is how I feel, I love Christ, but I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried. Hear me argue my case, these are feelings. I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried. I have to speak my truth, voice opinions, but I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm I'm worried. They use false hope to lure them in. I ain't dissing all of them blood, I'm just warning men and families. Look at the scandals of financial irregularities. Some boys only do God's work for the salary and get the churches to sell tickets for events. Evangelists are like fundraisers looking 10% of your wages for tithes. I get paid for my grind. I'll be damned if I give them boys some of mine. I'll give them some of my mind. Our goals ain't aligned. No way am I gonna give what I lay aside for personal use. The church folk perverting the truth, hurting the youth, trying to get a purse full of loot. I've seen them shot, Jesus watches, what's next? They make a profit off fanaticism. You're lacking wisdom if you got cash to give them. I'll give them credit, they started something from nothing, but I sense greed and they turned glutton. End of discussion. Don't fall for it, don't take their word for it. I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried. This is how I feel, I love Christ, but I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried. Hear me argue my case, these are feelings. I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried. I have to speak my truth, voice opinions, but I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried. Yo, some pastors are like hustlers, but it's Christ, not white or rocks for pipe. Still they live off the vulnerable type. They convert those that don't know what to do with their life when all they need is support and advice. Don't give them false hope and offer a quick fix solution. God will change your life if you offer a contribution. Citizens, I pity them still, I can't blame them. They put their trust in someone they hope could save them. There's theology graduates and then there's laymen. We need practical thinkers making plans to change them. They're claiming God's chosen and blessed them with power, but I wouldn't put faith in them in my darkest hour. So in all of their achievements, they lose focus on critical belief. We won't question their motives. Are they above accountability? I'm doubting you really see behind the facade of humility. Don't fall for it, don't take their word for it. I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried.